Welcome back to Old Coin Adventures. Before you spend another quarter from your pocket, take a closer look at the date. Because there is one Washington quarter that can look completely ordinary at first, yet the right example can be worth far more than 25 cents. And the surprising part is, you may not need an old coin collection to find one. It could already be sitting inside a jar, a drawer, an old cash box, or mixed in with ordinary pocket change. So if you have a 1965 quarter, don't spend it just yet. Look at it carefully. Because today, we're going to show you exactly what makes certain 1965 quarters interesting. What you should check before selling one. Where collectors actually buy them. And what some of the best examples have brought at auction. And by the end of this video, you'll know whether the quarter you're holding is just another coin, or something you should investigate much more carefully. The first thing you need to understand about 1965 is that this year was extremely important in American coinage. The United States was going through a major change in the way quarters and other silver coins were produced. For decades, Washington quarters had been made with silver. But by the middle of the 1960s, rising silver prices and changing economic conditions created a serious problem. The silver value inside circulating coins was becoming increasingly important, and that helped lead to one of the biggest changes in modern U.S. coin history. The 1965 Washington quarter became part of that transition. Instead of the traditional 90% silver composition used on earlier Washington quarters, the regular 1965 quarter was produced using a copper-nickel-clad composition. That means the 1965 quarter is not simply another Washington quarter. It represents a turning point. And that's one reason collectors continue to pay attention to this date. But here's where things become much more interesting. Finding a 1965 quarter does not automatically mean you found a rare coin. Most regular circulated examples are not worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. The first thing you need to understand is that not every 1965 quarter is rare. Most examples are ordinary coins and are generally worth around face value in circulated condition. But this is where things get interesting. 1965 sits at a very important point in Washington quarter history, and some unusual pieces from this year are highly collectible. One of the biggest things to watch for is an unusual planchet or composition error. And there's a simple test that can immediately tell you whether your coin deserves a closer look. Wait, a normal 1965 clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. But some extraordinary 1965 quarters were struck on planchets intended for the older silver quarters. Those coins can weigh around 6.25 grams. And that difference may be one of the biggest clues on the entire coin. A documented 1965 Washington quarter struck on a 90% silver planchet, graded AU-53, sold for $7,050 at Stack's Bowers. Another documented silver planchet example reached $14,687.50 at auction. So if you find a 1965 quarter that looks unusual, don't automatically assume it's silver just because the edge looks different. Put it on a reliable digital scale. That one small measurement can tell you whether you're looking at an ordinary clad quarter, or whether you may have discovered something that deserves professional authentication. But the silver planchet error isn't the only thing that makes 1965 quarters interesting. Collectors also look for double die varieties, unusual strikes, missing or damaged clad layers, and other mint-made errors. And this is where you need to slow down. Don't confuse a real double die with ordinary machine doubling. Real doubling can show distinct separation or extra design elements in specific areas. On recognized 1965 double die varieties, collectors pay particular attention to areas such as the lettering and date. One documented FS-101 example graded U-58 sold for $489, while an FS-102 example graded MS-65 sold for $1,650. And there's another fascinating category: special mint set coins. High-grade 1965 SMS quarters can bring substantially more than ordinary circulated examples. PCGS lists an auction record of $5,175 for a 1965 SMS quarter, sold by Heritage Auctions in 2006. More recent high-grade SMS examples have also sold for significant amounts. Great Collections records a 1965 SMS SP68 Plus quarter selling for $1,181.25. So the lesson is simple. Don't judge a 1965 quarter by its face value. Judge it by what is actually happening on the coin. Check the weight. Check the edge. Inspect the date. Study the lettering. Look for genuine doubling. And if something doesn't look normal, don't clean the coin. Cleaning can seriously damage its collector value. Instead, photograph both sides, record the weight, and consider having the coin examined by a reputable coin dealer or professional grading service. Now comes the question most people want answered. How much could a 1965 quarter actually be worth? The answer depends completely on what you have. A high-grade example can bring more. A genuine double-die variety can bring hundreds or even more depending on grade. And a confirmed transitional silver planchet error can reach thousands of dollars. With documented auction results reaching well above $7,000 and even into the five-figure range. If you believe you've found a genuine error, don't rush to sell it to the first person who offers you cash. For serious pieces, consider established auction houses such as Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, or use a reputable numismatic dealer. And remember, authentication matters. A normal 1965 quarter is not automatically valuable. Just because someone online claims that every 1965 quarter is rare. The exact variety, condition, weight, strike, and authentication can make an enormous difference. So tonight, before you empty that old jar of quarters, check the dates. And if you find 1965, don't put it back without taking a closer look. Because sometimes the most interesting coin isn't the one that looks ancient. It's the one that looks completely ordinary, until you know exactly what to look for. And in our next video, we're going after another US coin that could be hiding a surprisingly valuable mistake. You might already have one sitting in your collection. Subscribe to Old Coin Adventures, and check your change before someone else does.